That's right, you guys. It is Monday Morning Mechanic. This is the Dirt Bike Channel podcast where Karen and I'm Kyle Brotherson, and I've got my lovely wife, Karen. Karen, say hello.
Hello, hello.
This is where we recap the weekend that was in Supercross racing here in 2020. It was Petco Park in San Diego yesterday, and because we always record this on Sunday, that's why I say yesterday. You guys hear about it on Monday, but we're recording this on Sunday afternoon. Super sweet. Sometimes it's Sunday night. And Karen has an awesome story. In fact, Karen's favorite story about Petco Park is about to happen right now. Go.
Oh, so a few years ago, we were going with the family, doing the whole,
2011.
Yeah, we went to the beach. We went to San Diego Zoo. No, not the zoo. What did we do?
Probably. I don't know.
Anyway, we went touristing. And we drove past Petco Park. And, we've got all the kids in the car and grandma and whatnot. And anyway, we drive around the parking lot. It was in the middle of the day and it was dead. There was nobody there. But we see this homeless man drop his drawers and take a dookie right in the parking lot.
He went to they had all these, all the porta potties set up, and he checked, we were walking by him, and he pulls on we were driving by him, and he's walking by him, and he pulls on all the doors, and they're all locked, and so right in front of us, he just they're all locked, and he dropped his drawers so fast, and just dumped
he had
right
to
there.
Go.
It was,
and all the kids were like, "Whoa!"
He got the whole shot, and I've been to I've been to San Diego multiple times, and every time I go there now, I think about that guy and just whole shotting it, for serious, for real. Anyway, that happened right outside of Petco Park, right where the Padres play.
I'm sure they've cleaned it up by now.
Oh, they cleaned it up. I mean, San Diego's on top of it. I like going to San Diego. San Diego is probably one of my favorite California towns. I'm not going to say too much about all of my feelings of California because I would need to be politically correct on this show or whatever. But there's some really nice places in California. And San Diego,
whole shot.
San Diego is one of them. Oh, I really got Karen with that one. It just came.
I almost snorted. I mean, really.
It just came. So this is Monday Morning Mechanic. Welcome. This actually is, and I've said this before, this is one of my favorite times of the week to actually just sit here and record this with my wife because it's fun. It's some time that we get together to bond, and it's good. I love to hear her.
This is our bonding for the week.
I love to hear her voice. So let's start out here. San Diego, let's start with the 250s. What we saw in the 250 race last night. Here's kind of how everything went down as far as just finishing. Dylan Ferrandis gets the win. Austin Faulkner is second, and then Justin Cooper rounds out the podium in third. What were your overall feelings last night, Karen, with how things went down?
Well, I don't have a lot of opinions on this one. I mean, for one split second, I made you mad at me, and I started rooting for Dylan Ferrandis. It was just one of those moments where I remembered what I used to like about him, how aggressive and
what was it that you used to like about him? We can talk about that. It's okay.
Well, and no, I mean, my opinion has definitely changed since then, but for just a split second, I caught myself rooting for him, and I'm like, wait, what am I doing? And even you were like, Karen, what are you doing? We're not cheering for him. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot.
But what? No, it's a legitimate question because what is it that you like about him?
I do like to watch him race. I feel, I don't know, there's some kind of dark horse under, the way he holds the bike. It's just, I don't know, it's something different about him, and he's super aggressive, and obviously he's very aggressive when he's trying to push someone off the track for a win, but that is for a minute later, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a Dylan Ferrandis fan now, for the record, but I used to be.
Well, and for anyone who's a Dylan Ferrandis fan out there, you've got good reason to be. So I'm not a Dylan Ferrandis fan right now because of multiple reasons, but I have to say Dylan Ferrandis is the best guy on the track in that 250, in the 250 West right now. I don't think there's any... you'd have to. I don't know how you make the argument that Dylan Ferrandis isn't the most talented rider and the fastest rider in the 250 West right now. I don't know how you make that argument because he is kind of looking like a man among boys. See, last year he didn't race. I don't think he raced the same class as Austin Faulkner last year. I think Austin Faulkner raced a different class than Adam Cianciarulo and Dylan Ferrandis, and Austin Forkner was kind of like a man among boys. I think Austin was on the East. I'm not entirely certain. It just seemed like Austin and Dylan didn't ever come into each other. You had Adam Cianciarulo and Dylan Ferrandis that were racing each other, and Adam Cianciarulo basically led the entire season last year, and then in the last race, he threw it away, crashed pretty bad, and his bike was all messed up, and so Dylan Ferrandis was there to capitalize and ended up winning the championship last year. That's why Dylan Ferrandis has the red plate. He rode well, and he deserves that. But
he has the number one plate.
Yeah, the number one plate and the red plate now. And he deserves that because he was there to capitalize on Adam Cianciarulo's mistake. But it was Adam Cianciarulo's to lose.
Yeah.
And so Dylan Ferrandis and Adam are, in my mind, Adam is on a different level. But Adam is now in the 450s. Well, Austin Forkner now is finding out what a bad man Dylan Ferrandis is because they're racing in the same class. And I think ultimately this is going to be good for Austin Forkner because if you look at it, so last night, Austin Forkner, he nails the whole shot in the 250 main, you know? He technically qualified into the main as number one qualifier, and Dylan Ferrandis was number two qualifier just after the events of the heat race. Those guys actually, I believe, Austin and Dylan would have qualified either number 1, 2, or 3 in the 450s as well. Like their times were super fast as far as time qualifying earlier in the day. They are beating most of the 450 guys as far as in qualifying. Now it's not the same thing because they qualify, you know, the 250 guys always get on the track before the 450 guys. So the track is faster for the 250 guys just because of the nature of how it's in better condition. But the point is, Dylan and Austin are riding really well. And if you look, Austin Forkner got the whole shot last night. He leads 11 laps. Dylan Ferrandis only led 4 laps. So Dylan Ferrandis had the ability, had the benefit, the good pleasure, the good fortune of following Austin Forkner. And something that Ricky Carmichael says a lot in the broadcast, which really hit home to me today while we were watching the post-race press conference. It was something Cooper Webb said. But what that helped me to understand it. What Ricky Carmichael is always saying is he's always saying it's best for the guy who's in second place, who's right behind the leader, because that guy then can just study the leader and find out what lines he's taking, and then he can be more creative and try a little thing here or there and see if he can make up time. And that's what Dylan Ferrandis got to do for basically the entire main, is just watch Austin Forkner, who was riding really well. But Austin Forkner doesn't have the luxury of doing something creative. Because if you're in the lead, you can't just, it's harder for you to just all of a sudden get creative and change up your line, because if it turns out being slower to take a different route or whatever, then everyone's looking at you going, why did you blow the lead, you moron? You know, whereas
you dip snap.
Yeah, you dip snap. That I'm coining that phrase, dip snap. Dip snap is the thing that I use when I want to say dip something else, but I don't say it because Karen and the kids are there and I'm trying to be a good example. Karen's trying to get me to be a good example. I don't swear a lot, as you guys know from watching my YouTube channel, but I do swear here and there, and Karen is a saint who never swears. And so she's trying to get me to be on that straight and narrow. Anyway, so Dylan Ferrandis is my dip snap right now. And the thing that I don't like about Dylan right now is that he can't learn. And what do I mean by that? He has a learning disability in this one thing. Dylan, you are the best rider out there, okay? But I want you to learn something. I want you to learn something that Ken Roxon knows, Eli Tomac knows, Cooper Webb knows, Austin Forkner knows. You can go down the list. Most of the guys in your class haven't learned it yet because they haven't had to. But in the 450s, the top 10 guys have all had to learn this one lesson that you have a disability on.
And Adam Cianciarulo.
Adam Cianciarulo has also learned this. They know this lesson. And this is, if you want to be beloved in this sport, which you do. You say in the post race thing that you don't care, you're just here to cash checks. But let me tell you something. You do need to be liked by people in the industry, and you need to be liked by the fans. Here's what you have to do. You have to learn how to pass the leader without pushing him off the bloody track.
Because he hasn't learned that one yet.
He has not learned that one. Like, you can pass all these other people, but you cannot consistently pass freaking Austin Forkner and push him off the track. And you say, hey, look, we've only got a little bit of room. He says this in the post race. He's like, yeah, we've got a little bit of, and I agree. Like, you're splitting hairs. And I'm not saying that you can't ever push someone off the track. I'm not saying that. But like every race now, when he has made the pass for the lead in the last, I think, 4 races in a row, he has pushed the leader off the track to do it. And it's so frustrating to me because it's like, dude, you are the best. You are better than these other guys. But even people who are better than you, who are even more closely matched in the 450 class, they are not pushing people off the track every freaking time they pass the leader.
So in the sport of Supercross, in my humble observations, there is a time to be aggressive and push someone off the track, and there's also other times to not push people off the track. And I think this is an unwritten rule, because Kyle's favorite sport moment happened to be someone pushed that person off the track.
Ripping them off the bike.
And he loved it. What's the difference between that moment and Dylan Ferrandis?
Time and place.
Time and place. Yeah, so there is a time and there's a place, and Dylan's pass on Christian Craig was not the time or the place. He had plenty of time to pass him on a whoop section or on some other straightway somewhere else, but not there, knocking him off his bike like a ragdoll.
And then he's just continued to push people off the track, because that was 4 weeks ago or whatever. And every time since that time, he's in a tough spot because he has to race aggressively, but he also can't race that aggressively because he's got this, he's in this probation period with the AMA. If he does something too aggressive, they'll fine him and dock him and whoever knows what. But the point is this: stop pushing people off the track. If you're not good enough to pass them without pushing them off the track, then you're not good enough to pass them. And he'll make these dumb moves where he just cuts down and goes all the way across the rut. Or all the way across the turn and just go straight into the guy. I understand squaring people off. That's totally fine. What I'm saying, though, is find a way to do it without pushing people off the track, and everyone is going to be happy. Everyone.
Well, in his press release, did you hear or pick up on the fact that somebody had asked him, how do you feel about everybody booing you? And I don't remember exactly how the question was worded. Do you remember how it was worded?
Not exactly. It was what you've got the gist of it though.
But, yeah, essentially. So he said,
it was the anti-hero thing. Like people are booing you. Yeah. Have you thought about just embracing it? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. And anyway, and so instead of him responding with, I am here to do my best, I shouldn't have done that, in a humble state, it was more of like, I don't care what you guys think. And it turned out a little different than I was hoping for Dylan, because it feels like he doesn't get it, and the it being people are booing him not because he's French. I love the French. I love Marvin Musquin. I'm not ever booing Marvin Musquin. But the thing that people are booing is the dirtiness behind it, the time and the place of the aggression.
Well, yeah, and he's like, yeah, I'm just here to win races and cash the checks and put them in my bank account. That's literally what he said, and that's like giving a middle finger to the people. He thinks in his head he's getting booed because he's French, but he's too dense and too dumb to think like, wait a second, the person who's getting the most cheers in the 450 class is from Germany.
Yeah.
Like, Dylan, we're not booing you because you're French. We're booing you because you're acting like an a-hole. That's what it is. Okay? Ken Roxon is getting cheers like crazy. He's French. Chad Reed, beloved. He's Australian. You can go down this list. Like Luke Clout, he's Australian. He gets we don't care where you come from.
Davalos.
But yeah, Martin Davalos. We don't care where you come from. We just want you to not act like an a-hole on the track and then off the track. Continue to ride, but you need to get somebody that helps you with your image, man. Because yeah, you're just it's not working for you. It is not working for you. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that the average start for Fortner is 1.8 through all these rounds. The average start in the main event for Austin Fortner, he's starting at 1.8. Basically, he's averaging just under second place for his starts. And he's gotten 3 hole shots. Dylan Ferrandis has 0 hole shots. Karen, do you have any idea what the average start is for Dylan Ferrandis, our points leader in the 250?
Well, I have it here in front of me, so.
Well, I didn't, but I didn't know if you circled it. See, I circle it. What is it, Karen?
Circle it,
what's his average start?
8.2.
Is that insane to you?
Yeah.
He's starting in 8th on average, whereas Austin Fortner is starting in just basically in second place. So it occurs to me that Dylan Ferrandis I should send him a text and say, number 1, figure out how to pass the leader without pushing him off the track. Oh, and your number 2 thing, you should work on starts.
Or if he actually just worked on his starts, then he wouldn't have to pass anyone because no one would be fast enough to catch him.
If he worked on his starts, and if he was as good of a starter as Austin Forkner is, these races would be they'd be utterly boring because he would check out and he'd be 25 seconds ahead of everyone.
Yeah, because Austin Forkner, he led 11 of the laps in this last race.
Right, and Dylan Ferrandis only led, just a couple. Dylan Ferrandis only led 4 laps. Dylan Ferrandis is Eli Tomac just a few years behind him because he is faster than everyone, but he can't get starts. And that's the same thing with Eli Tomac, so that's pretty crazy. Anyway, I do want Dylan to get better. I want him to figure this out. I want him to figure out how to show a little bit of humility and then, but keep your moxie, but just stop pushing people off the track. That's all I want, Anyway,
dip snap.
Yeah, dip snap. Moving on to the 450s. So our 450 podium looked like this. Cooper Webb 1, Adam Cianciarulo 2, and Blake Baggett number 3. That's a pretty cool podium. We don't get... Adam, what's his second podium of his career?
And then the next 3 guys are Justin Barcia, Ken Roczen, and Eli Tomac. So you're thinking, why are those guys not... None of them are in the top 3 this week.
Yeah, it was kind of a backwards race, but it was cool. It was really, really cool. It was, first off, Adam Cianciarulo, hats off to him because Adam Cianciarulo led 20 laps.
It was so fun.
He didn't get the whole shot, but
he was so squirrely. I kept rooting for him. I'm like, don't go down.
Yeah, he didn't get the whole shot, but he was right up there, and it was basically Baggett, Webb, and Cooper Webb, Adam Cianciarulo, and Blake Baggett were in the top 3 in that first turn. And then Cooper Webb took the lead away from Adam Cianciarulo, and then Adam Cianciarulo took it back. The point is, Adam rode a really, really good race. And it was really nice to see Adam up there. He led, obviously, the most laps of the season. Adam Cianciarulo has only led 27, Adam Cianciarulo got to lead 27 laps in this season, and 20 of them happened last night. So he had a really good first race in Anaheim 1, and then last night I think it was his best, most complete race, and he almost won that thing. But I was just thinking, he's in, there's 15 minutes to go, and I looked at Karen and I said, no way Adam Cianciarulo wins tonight, because he hasn't proved to me that he can hold it together for 20 minutes against all this other competition. And I just kept saying he's not going to win, and Karen's rooting for him, and I was too, but I just didn't think he was going to be there. And I like Cooper Webb
too, so I didn't really care. That was like a dream race because usually it's like one guy I love against another guy I don't really love. But this time I was like, hey, either one of those guys I'd be totally fine with. So it was ease and leisure.
Yeah, it was. The only thing that we were stressing out about was Ken Roczen. So Ken Roczen, let's talk about him for a second.
Oh.
He kind of had his worst night of the season. He had a really good heat race, which Karen wasn't here for. She had a meeting that she went to, and I started it with the kids. So Karen, I don't think you even seen Ken Roczen's heat race.
I didn't.
But it was awesome. Like, he just got out, he got the whole shot in the heat race, and then he just powered down and put in awesome laps, and it wasn't a big deal. But then in the main, he got a bad start. So Ken Roczen is averaging in his starts, he's averaging 1.6 on the season, which is amazing. But then last night, his start, he started in 9th. So he just got buried. Him and Eli Tomac got buried there. And Justin Barcia, they got buried.
And the 3 of them, that was a fun battle to watch.
They went back and forth. The track actually was one of the more boring tracks to watch because it was pretty single lined. There wasn't a lot of passing. Passing was at a premium. It was hard to do. And so in some ways, last night's track was a little bit of a Debbie Downer because it was really hard to pass on for whatever reason. And they had that really short starting gate, or I mean the start straight in the beginning. And so your gate pick was super critical. And that was the interesting thing with Cooper Webb is Cooper Webb had a bad heat race. He ended up crashing. He was in like second or third, second, third, or fourth incident. In the rut. Yeah, and the rut collapsed right in front of him. Whoever it was that was in second place that he was following in the heat race, the rut collapsed and like the big dirt clod dropped right down into it, and then Cooper Webb went down. And after that, it was he had to scrap to qualify without going to the LCQ. And so what did he say? He said that after he won the race, he sat up there on the podium. He said that, what did he say, Karen, about his anger?
He said that he was super angry, and then he paused. I'm mad as a hornet or something, or angry as a hornet.
Yeah, he's like, I was mad as a hornet. right there.
Oh, and then Daniel Blair's like, how mad is a hornet?
Yeah.
And then he's like, why don't you tell me, Daniel?
Oh, yeah. So Cooper Webb, and he just said he was pissed. And I think this is actually a bad sign. I was gonna mention this a little bit later, but Cooper Webb was mad as a hornet last night, and I think that could be bad for the other riders. Because I think if Cooper Webb, which now last week he had a good week, he ended up making a bunch of time on Eli Tomac and Ken Roczen and ended up with second place last week, and then this week he wins. And I think if you have a confident, like ticked off Cooper Webb, that's bad for the other guys.
Yeah, and he's only 8 points behind.
Yeah, he made up a ton of points because Eli Tomac and Ken Roczen were so far back. Cooper Webb is literally right back in this championship, and he's I wouldn't say he's in a perfect spot, but he is in an awesome spot because he is only 9 points off of the lead. He's 9 points back of Ken Roczen, and Eli Tomac also is in the other best position he's ever been in, which is only 1 point back. But let's talk about, so Cooper Webb had a really good night. Adam Cianciarulo finished second. He also had a really good night, but I just didn't feel like he hasn't proven to me that he's going to win because he hasn't proven that he can hold it together for all those laps. He's notorious for riding a really, really good race and all of a sudden, like, just washing out a front tire in a corner or something. Have you noticed that?
Yep.
But
yes, I have.
But now I'm starting to think next time he's out there in the lead like that, I'm going to have a lot more confidence that he can do it, because he was in that same position that Austin Forkner was in, where he's leading the laps and Cooper Webb is just literally watching him the whole time. And then, Cooper Webb could try a thing here or there and figure out where he was going to be faster. And where Cooper Webb was actually faster was in the whoops. Cooper Webb spent the entire week working on the whoops, and they didn't actually skim the whoops that much in the 450 main because they broke down fast enough. And then Cooper Webb started to like triple, quad, triple through the whoops. And here was what was really cool about Adam Cianciarulo. Cianciarulo then ended up getting past with 5 laps to go, and he was behind Cooper Webb just long enough to figure out like where Cooper Webb was making up a ton of time on him. And he even said, he brought it up that he's like, I realized as soon as I saw what Cooper was doing in the whoops where he was beating me, because like Cianciarulo was just trying to like jump through a little bit or like skim through, but Cooper Webb was going triple, quad, triple through the whoops. And Adam Cianciarulo picked up on it immediately. He said it in the post race. I think in fact, I think he even said it on the actual podium in his interview. It might've been, but he just picked up on it so fast. That he saw it and he's like, oh, that's where he was getting me. And so Adam Cianciarulo is coming around, and the next time he's in that situation, I think he might be able to do it. He's going to get a win, which is going to be pretty cool. Blake Baggett, he finished third.
I like Blake.
My thing with Double B is that he looked like he got shot out of a cannon. If you go back and you watch that main event heat race, they show this camera angle, and it looks like he got like a 1 second head start on everyone else. But I think what it was is he just didn't get on the brakes soon enough, because he said he drove it in deep. He's like, I almost drove it into the stands on that first corner. And so, but he was it looked like he was 2 bike lengths in front of everyone else. And I think it's because it was such a long start straight. He forgot that he wasn't in Glendale or Oakland or something. He's just clicking up to 4th gear. And then it's like, oh, wait a second. There's a turn right here.
Wait a minute. I got to slow down.
Yeah, that was, but so it looked like he got shot out of a cannon, and he just basically kind of rode his own race there for the whole thing.
And he's fun to listen to in the post-conference interviews, because anytime that he's in there, I always feel like he can cut the tension with a knife with his sense of humor and kind of, I don't know, dryness that he's got. It's so funny. I think he's so funny. I laugh every time.
Yeah. He's a good cat. So we like that. Justin Barcia, my favorite thing with Justin Barcia last night, Ken Roczen. So it was Justin Barcia, then Ken Roczen, and then Eli Tomac in that order, and they were just kind of battling like those 3 guys. Justin Barcia would not let Ken Roczen past him. And Ken never did get past him. No. Ken Roczen was up there a couple times, and Justin Barcia was like, no, my name is Bam Bam, and you're not coming around. And
not today, fool.
And because of that little back and forth with Ken not being able to get around Barcia,
that opened a little door.
That brought it up for Eli Tomac, and then they all got tight. And then Tomac, because Tomac is more aggressive than Ken Roczen. Tomac was able to finally make the pass on Justin Barcia, but Barcia didn't make it easy. And they went back and forth, had a little cat and mouse there for a second.
Tomac and Dylan Ferrandis, they hang out.
They must. No, they don't. I'm sure they don't. Tomac doesn't hang out with anybody. He only hangs out with, I don't know who he hangs out with.
His trainers.
Probably. I don't know. But the whole thing is Eli Tomac is a mean dude. Eli Tomac is a bad man, and he finally got around Justin Barcia, but Justin didn't make it easy. And that I love that because Justin Barcia isn't that far back in the championship. Justin Barcia is now, he's in 4th place. You know, anything could happen. The season is early, and he was like, no, I'm not letting you around me. And so he rode, I mean, maybe he's not that proud of it, but it was nice to see him just not giving up the positions to either Ken Roczen or Eli Tomac.
And I got to point out, I was super bummed about AP7, Aaron Plessinger, when he, took himself out. He was in the leads. I don't know if it was 3rd place, maybe, at the beginning of the race. And I was so excited because I was rooting for him. And then he came around that left-hand turn and just gave it too much. And yeah, he went down.
Yeah.
He lost like 4 or 5 positions.
He just hit the gas and it spun out.
Yeah.
So on that one corner. So that was kind of bad for him. Eli Tomac didn't run that crazy of a race. He ended up in 4th. Justin Barcia, like we mentioned, ended up in 6th. Justin Barcia was in 5th. Ken Roczen was in 6th, which I hope that is the worst race for him. So I hope that, Ken Roczen, this was his worst night. That's what I'm hoping for. Because he's been so good and he's had so many different podiums and he's had, a bunch of wins. Ken Roczen has actually led more laps than anyone. If you look at that, Ken Roczen has led 43 laps. Eli Tomac has led 25 laps. Cooper Webb has led only 5. Last night, there in San Diego were the only laps that Cooper Webb has led. And then Adam Cianciarulo has actually led 27 laps because a huge part of it was last night.
Adam Cianciarulo has led more laps than Eli Tomac.
Yeah, that's crazy. When you stop and think about it, he's led 2 more laps than Eli Tomac.
Even
though Eli Tomac has 2 wins on the season.
Yeah.
So Ken Roczen has 2 wins. Eli Tomac has 2 wins. Justin Barcia has 1. Cooper Webb has 1. But yeah, Adam Cianciarulo has led more laps. Adam Cianciarulo has led more laps than anyone except Ken Roczen. Look at that.
Yeah.
The only person that has led more laps than Adam Cianciarulo is Ken Roczen. That's pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
So yeah, but I think Adam Cianciarulo is going to put it together, and it's been fun to watch, But the big thing to me last night that I came away with was, hey, Cooper Webb is still in this. He was mad as a hornet's nest, and he is still in this championship, and you better not turn your back on him.
So Cooper Webb, this is an interesting statistic because he has 121 points. And so, but he has only led 5 laps. So he's in 3rd in the point standing and has only led 5 laps. That's pretty incredible. That shows how consistent he is in all of the races, even though he was sick at the beginning.
Well, and everyone's been saying, where is he at? And he's been underperforming. So the whole notion, just like what you're saying, Karen, is that he's had a bad season, a bad start to the season. Yet you just pointed out, even though everyone has basically said it's been a letdown to the season, and Roger DeCoster had to go to him a couple weeks ago and say, hey, are you willing to work for this, or am I wasting my time? And then you stop and think about that. Here it is after round 6 of 17. You've a third of the way in, and he's in 3rd place with only 9 points back. So Cooper Webb is right there. Eli Tomac is 1 point behind having a red number 3 on his bike, and I thought he was going to have it. I thought, based off the race, I thought for sure he was gonna even be sharing the red plate with Ken Roczen next week, wherever they're going. It's Florida somewhere, right? They're going to, I think so.
I can't remember.
Anyway, but it's a super tight, and that's the other thing. That's kind of like my last point was this is a super tight points race right here, which is awesome for the championship. It's good viewing. It makes for good TV. I've heard some people say on comments online and things like, oh, Supercross is down because and I think that is total garbage. I think Supercross is up. Right now, it's as competitive as it's ever been. You can reminisce about the past with James Stewart and Ricky Carmichael or Jeremy McGrath or Ryan Villapoto or Ryan Dungey or any of these people who had, run off some string of victories or some string of championships. But this is actually more exciting when the racing is super tight and you don't know who's going to win.
Yeah. For sure.
Because next week, let me tell you, the people that I'm going to list off right here, and tell me if I'm wrong, Karen, these people have
don't worry, I'll tell you.
These people have a total legit chance of winning next week. And this isn't maybe in any particular order, but I'll give you the order that I think has a really, really, really high chance of winning next week. Eli Tomac, Ken Roczen, Cooper Webb, or even Adam Cianciarulo. And I'd place him last in that group. But Ken Roczen, Tomac, Cooper Webb, and Cianciarulo next week, if any one of those guys won, would you be surprised?
No, not at all.
Exactly. And that's my point, is I think like this is an awesome time to be watching Supercross. I think that we're kind of in that, maybe it's a golden age. I just think it's super cool because the points are so close. Everything is so close that I'm just having a blast watching it. You don't know what's going to happen.
No, for sure.
It's like the NFL where there's a lot of parity right now with these riders. And even Justin Barcia. Like Justin Barcia could totally come out and win. I didn't even mention him. Blake Baggett, he could totally win. So I named off 4 riders, but there's about 6 who I wouldn't be surprised at all. Even Justin Hill. Like Justin Hill, you guys are
when
like,
he's on.
When he's on, he's hard to freaking beat. He took out his heat race last week behind the woodshed. You know? And so Justin Hill could do it. Aaron Plessinger, I think he's a little off. Zach Osborne, I'd love to see it. I haven't, I've got even less faith in him right now than I do in AC, but Zach Osborne could put it all together and boom, come out there and just nail one of these suckers. And it'll be fun to watch. And we didn't even mention Jason Anderson. What am I thinking? Jason Anderson ended up finishing in what? 14th. But guess what? Next week, if Jason Anderson went out there and won the race, no one would be surprised. He was a champion 2 years ago, year and a half ago.
How was he 14th? I didn't even see what happened to him.
He just I don't know. I don't know what happened to him. He qualified 10th. The point is, there's a ton of guys right now that could win a race next week, and it's an awesome time to be watching Supercross.
Tune in, people.
Tune in, and anyway, so next week, thanks for listening. If you haven't subscribed, do that somehow. We're on all the major podcasts. I guess if you're listening to this far in the podcast, you already know that. But tell your friends about it, because it's super cool. We're super cool here.
We're super cool, everyone.
And then next week we'll have another one of those whole shot moments with a latrine, with a
oh my gosh,
with a porta potty. We'll try to bring something to you like that next week. So, anyway, thanks, Karen, for joining me here.
Anytime.
I love it. Leave a single track, guys. Bye.